Well, March 1st. I'm in short sleeves. It's not freezing today. I am hoping spring is almost here. I think it is. I have noticed growth on certain plants that was not there a few days ago. So I'm hoping that means I can start putting more things in the garden. But right now I'm going to do a really quick, I hope so, a really quick garden tour because there's not much. And we'll just walk through and hopefully there's going to be changes starting within the next 2 weeks to a month. So let's see and let's do a walkthrough on what's going on March 1st, 2019. Well, we're in the front yard and like I said, nothing's been done, nothing's been changed. Just gonna have to start cleaning up. Hopefully this is the month that things are starting to go in the ground. I still have potatoes that came up. That just came up in my compost. The mustard isn't looking that good. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe it got too much rain. Sorrel's looking good, but all in all, like I said, not much is going on. Now the tree color that I put in down there, that was that piece that broke off. It was a huge piece. It's actually still green. So I am thinking that maybe it's going to make it. That will be interesting and we'll see what happens with that. And of course, those are just cuttings from dinosaur kale. And once they start to take off, I can move them and figure out where I want to put them. I'm not sure if Gary's going to take the rest of the pools or not, but we'll see what happens in the next month because I'd like to change the front yard a little bit. And now let's go take a walk over to the table where the stevia is. Now this is my ginger and stevia table. And if it is true and we have no more freeze, I'm going to start thinking about putting ginger and turmeric back into these containers and maybe a few more. Now the stevia, this is all dead. As you can see, it's dead. See, it just breaks and it's dead. But look at all the new stevia coming up from the roots on the bottom. So I need to get all this cleared out and give it some room. That's the original pot and it's still stuck in there really strong because the roots went into this other pot. You know, I layer everything, which is fine. I'm going to clean this all up. I think I'm going to top the pot with some wood chips or some native soil and bring it up a little bit. And I'll see if I need any more stevia. I don't know if I will or won't need stevia, but that's it. Nothing else going on. We have been getting rain here and there. We were supposed to get rain yesterday and we didn't. I'll swing you around one more time. This is the mint, this is peppermint, which is still, you know, not really coming back that much yet, but it's a little bit is coming back. I need to clear out all the dead stuff, just get it out of the way. The tomatoes, well, they didn't bend as well as usual, I think because it's been so cold. We've had the coldest month in February in 60 years. Now this tomato plant made it, so we'll see what happens. I'll clean it up, stake a little bit, or I'll start fresh. You know, it's a plant. If it's not doing good, start fresh. If you like the plant, take some cuttings off of it. Now let's go in the main yard. I do hope this is working. I'm doing it on my iPhone this time. I don't know why. I think it was in my hand and I thought, let's try it. I've got to clean up all these upside down planters. Now let me tell you, some people have asked me about them because I have this on my deck that I'm working with. They used to sell for between $50 and like $66, $68. Definitely not worth it. I would never have spent that much for something that's only what, 7 inches, 6 inches deep? No. They came out in the stores. They were selling them at Walmart, Sam's Club, different stores had them. They were selling them online. The concept was okay. You were supposed to grow your tomatoes from the big holes underneath to drop down, but then the tomatoes grow and then they try to come up and there's no soil in there to speak of, very little soil. For the price they were asking, I never would have bought them. But my daughter had called me one day and said, get your rear down here now to Walmart. They're clearing them out. And I believe they had marked them all down to $5 a piece. And when we got there, it was half price. So they were like $2.50 a box. And I mean, it's nice. It's got a stand. You're supposed to fill the bottom part up with water and there's weight. See how some of them lean? That was the complaint with my daughter and my friend that got them. Let me see if you can see how they lean. And I've had to turn a few of them and put them up against a wall or whatever to keep them from falling over, because as they start to lean like that, they lean more and more. So I'm going to come up in the next month or so and show you with a concept of how to do the same thing better, 100 folds better. This is ridiculous for the price they were asking. I don't think they make them anymore. They don't break down, which is really nice. I mean, it really does hold up, but they're just too small. I started to layer them, and there's like a layering effect where I put, you know, something else on top, more pots. But there's just so many other ways you could do things for next to nothing compared to this. And we'll do that as spring comes on. There's my containers on the ground here. As you can see, they're still going strong. They're not looking that good, the plants, but these are not winter plants. So they hung in there. That's the mushroom plant. This is a sprouting broccoli, and here is lemon verbena. And lemon verbena normally dies back here in the fall and winter, but it's still kind of struggling and trying to save itself for winter, but I think it's going to be coming back. So I'm going to trim that back, and I'm going to let it come back on its own. Gary's got one in his garden that's still growing strong, and it just kept growing all winter. So it depends on if it didn't get too cold. And my garden probably got colder than Gary's garden. But all in all, here's the containers of it emptying all the rainwater out into the plants that I collected. The brown berries, that's the tomato here. They made it through the winter. And they're still growing tomatoes. We've had tomatoes all winter. So they're going really good. I may do cuttings off of them, or I may grow them from seed. I'm not sure. But right now, I'll baby those plants. I have noticed a lot of new growth coming in on these tomatoes, and it gives me hope that spring is around the corner. The birds have been doing a number on my kale, so I'm going to have to take care of them. And I will show you how I'm going to take care of the birds so they'll work for me when I want them to work for me, and they won't do this when I don't want them to do this. But all in all, the kale made it all through the winter, and we have had greens all winter, which is beautiful. This tomato plant did really well too. Still has tomatoes down there. So we've had tomatoes on here. Now keep in mind, we have been getting down to almost freezing. We've been like at 38, 40 degrees, and these plants normally should not do that well during that time. But they made it through, and now we're hopefully going into spring. We're not quite there yet. There's the purple sprouting broccoli. Stems are still purple. Look at the stems. But not broccoli. Yeah, broccoli, sprouting broccoli. I have not yet to see anything on here. But I will tell you, the leaves are great. The leaves we use for cooking, for my green drink. It's just been marvelous. And we've had it, and it's beautiful, and it keeps on growing. It grows like a tree colored. See, the birds have been chewing on my broccoli. These are my sprouting broccoli, and I still get plenty on there. I mean, it's a whole field. So I've been letting them do that because it's been winter, and they've been struggling too. And of course, I feed them, so that doesn't help, because I'm bringing them in, and so they'll come in and eat that, and then of course they'll nibble on the greens. But right now, believe you me, there's enough for them and me. But if you don't want the birds, don't feed them. Just feed a little bit, put some water out, because no matter what, you want to encourage the insect eaters to come in so they can get rid of all the pests that you don't want. They don't like collard, isn't that something? They don't touch collard, they don't like collard, they haven't eaten any of the collard. Let's put it this way, they have not developed a taste to collard yet, because they didn't like kale in the beginning either. They developed a taste for that. So you never know what they're going to do. But you know, look at this collard. It's like a bonsai plant. Look at that. This is one that I picked up at the 99-cent store. They had a tiny little basket, and there were like 3 or 4 plants in it. Little tiny pot. And normally the little tiny pots would have one, and they're still going. They're like going to be 3 years old. I believe 3 years old now, or at least, you know, this spring. Let's see, my pepinos are still hanging in there. I think Gary's is doing better because it's warmer in his garden than it is mine. His is sheltered a little bit more. Mine's so open. I mean, look at it. I get the canyon breeze, and when it's cold, it gets the cold canyon breeze. Covered this up to keep the birds out, and it's doing great. Look at that. Let me see if I can get you in there. See how beautiful that is? So, all in all, like I said, I'm quite pleased with the garden. Going through the winter, it did better than me. So, and there's the collard field. See, they don't touch the collard. Isn't that amazing? Nobody likes the collard. The rabbits will eat some collard on the ground, and because the rabbits don't climb, they can't get to it, but the birds don't touch the collard. They won't touch the tree collard. This is a tree collard. And then this is regular collard. So I just hope they don't decide to like it, but they have been nibbling on my red vein sorrel. I can see that they're sitting up here on the water fountain. It's cloudy today, so it's not running right now. And they've been nibbling on the leaves that they can just sit and get to. And that's okay, there's plenty. I have some here, I've got some in my front garden, so there's plenty of that. Let's see, let's walk over here real quick. And this is the lemon balm that I bought, lemon balm. And it's coming up from the bottom. The top died back, but look at that, new growth. And that's what I'm saying, I'm starting to see a lot of new growth on things. And even the sweet potatoes down there, new growth. I don't want the sweet potatoes there anyways, I want to get them out. Let Gary grow his potatoes, and I want to grow more productive things. I have to really think about more of what I want, not just baby stuff because it grew and it tried and it struggled, and so I've got to let it grow. No, I'm done with that. Now I'm an old-time gardener. I've been doing this for what, 3 years out here in my garden? I don't know, but around that. I mean, I've gardened basically my whole life as a kid, here and there, and then there were so many struggles and it was so hard, then I would give it up and go back and forth. Now container gardening, composting in place, I'm not giving up gardening. I'm encouraging more and more people to do it. And I am not going to struggle and try to grow things that should not be growing or I do not need. That is a massive tree collard. That thing was only, what, 3 or 4 inches tall when I got it? Look at that. So I got a tree collard there, and then I've got the other one you saw, which was down there. And look at this thing. Gary had to stake this thing up with a big metal pole. Look how big that is. Look at the trunk. What's really cool on tree collard is all these pieces, you snap them off and you just put them in some soil and they grow. That's the way you want to grow tree collard because it won't grow true from seed, and mine hasn't seeded yet anyways. Let me keep going. This is more purple sprouting broccoli that never did anything, that I grew from seed. I bought the seeds, so they didn't, they never grew any broccoli yet. We'll see what happens. Again, no loss. The leaves are really, really good. I'm thinking of changing my way on towers too. So I'll have to see. That tower is not planted. A lot of people ask about strawberry towers. I'm not sure. I've got other ideas, so we'll see what happens as time goes on. And this is the collard plant that is just taking off. Look at the trunk. It broke that pot, left that pot, and it just shoots up in the air like a tree all over. See, this is all one plant. And the rabbits chew the bottom, but they can't reach the top. And again, the birds don't like collard, so they don't bother it. See, it looks like tree collard, but it's not. That's tree collard back there. The leaves are crinkly, a little curly, very interesting looking, and this is very smooth and round. That's more like an elephant ear back there, like a big elephant. But this is different, and look at that. It broke the pot, went into the wood chips and started growing. Here, the rabbits started chewing the bottom, so I had to get something over the plant to save these plants, and the birds chewed the top. I'll decide if I want to try to struggle to keep the blue dazzling kale alive, and maybe I will. We'll see. Of course, let's just look at that garlic chives down here. They grow everywhere. Of course, this is the moringa. This struggled with, the cold we had, but it's still alive, and I see leaves on the very top, so I think it's going to come back soon. This is the papaya that came up in the compost bin. Look at that. That I need to fill up some more soil and wood chips in there. See? But we should have papaya soon. Look at that. Now this one, it's really pulling everything from this tree. I'm calling it a tree. I know it's a plant, but I'm going to refer to it as a tree. And this second one here is getting all the nutrients. and this one is just sucking the life out of the other one. Like I've talked about before, I don't know if I want to pull this one out, cut it out, because it could change the whole balance of whatever is going on. Whatever's going on right now is working. This is producing. That one's not, but it might be protecting the trunk on this one, the cold. You know, when it gets cold, this is the one that's getting more of the updraft through the canyon. So I don't want to touch it. As long as I'm getting something, then it's working. That's the way I look at it. Everybody's got their own ideas, and for me, I'm going to leave it. There's another strawberry tower, and let's take a walk through the gates. Let's see, nothing else. I can swing here for a minute. That is potato. I did have an old potato that started to grow, and I threw it in there, and that's a potato. This is just tomato cutting I stuck in there, and I don't know what's going to be with that. And garlic chives. Like I said, this garlic chives are great to grow. Throw some seeds down and forget about it, and it will grow on its own. And this is the other moringa. I have different ways of doing this. I can pull it away from the roof if I want, or I could chop it down and keep it as a bush. We'll see what happens. Yes, I planted it too close to the house. Actually, it got chewed to the trunk, all the way to the bottom, the stump, and it came back from the ground and shot back out. And then, of course, more containers that I haven't touched. But see, the rabbits can't get to the one with the basket. That's going good. And then I've got some mint in there, and still have some purple kale, beautiful purple kale. So I'm not sure. I mean, you know, I could grow new and it would grow much nicer. It's spindly right now. Or if I really wanted to change this, ideally, I could just cut it here, trim off all the, you know, leaves a little bit of powdery mildew on it, just take them off, compost them, and start a new plant from the top, and then take this out and start over. So there's a lot of different things I can do. It's my garden. Okay, let's turn around. And that's pretty much it. You know, I have not done anything. There's our rosemary. I still think I got to get a camera out here. I believe that coyotes come in here and roll in the rosemary. I don't know if it gets rid of fleas, if it smells good, if they like the feel of it, but I suspect that. Here are the papayas. You've all seen our papayas. And the papayas are doing great. These did really, really well. That one was sheltered from the bottle brush, so it didn't get freezer burned at all with all the cold. This one too was sheltered from all that. And of course, I have talked about this one sitting out in the open. It lost a lot of leaves because, as you can see, it had nothing sheltering it. Let me see if I can hold you up there and see it. See, this one had no shelter. So what was happening is that cold draft, when we had all these like freezing weather, it was just coming straight up the canyon and hitting this plant. Yet it made it fine. It's going to do fine. You can see that. But the leaves, no. I'm not pulling the leaves off yet. I will compost them right in the container in here. I'm just going to leave it alone because we knew that some of the leaves would be protecting the trunk a bit. But, you know, right now it's getting close to being trimmed off, but I'm not doing anything. We're leaving it alone. Now let's turn around and walk over to the wall. Well, no more flooding here. This is pretty much dried up. But let me tell you something. This soil is beautiful. I've actually come out here and taken some of this, and I've been growing seeds in it. Look at that. This is broken down wood chips. Look at that. It's beautiful. So I've been just coming out here, taking a shovel and picking some up, you know, in a bucket and using it for growing some seeds that I'm starting in the house. I need to set up this container, and I'll see how I'm going to do that this year. But I'll plant something down there, something in that one. This way, when you water that, it waters the bottom. This was doing great until the rabbit came the other day and decided to start chewing on the bottom. But I haven't gotten serious yet on the rabbits on trying to keep them off of certain plants, because right now there's still a lot, so I'm not going to worry about it. Tomatoes, well, we had a really bad cold snap and it really kind of made it lose a lot of its leaves. But it's an older plant, so I'm going to see what happens. But look at all the tomatoes. So we've been having, that's one thing, we've been having tomatoes all winter. So there has not been a shortage of tomatoes. So we've been doing really good. And then this is what Gary picked up in the trash. Somebody threw that away and he put that little fence there. Notice how beautiful it is now that the rabbits can't get in here? I've got Swiss chard growing, the one that's mixed red and green, celery, more celery. Celery is wonderful. Don't forget, the leaves have more nutrition in it than the stalks. So use the whole thing. I use the whole thing. And then some walking onions. So they're all doing really, really well. And of course the moringa, which is trying to make a comeback. That will be a very happy tree once it gets warm. The eggplant. This one has stayed alive. This is the one that's kind of a white looking eggplant. And this one's done well because the wall stays warm. So it has helped a lot of these plants. That's why I've got plans this spring and summer to set this up differently. So I'll have more vegetables growing all winter. And then of course more Swiss chard. Now let's walk over to the truck bed. Sow thistle, don't forget, sow thistle is very good, and I use that in my green drinks. So now we're over at the truck bed. I kept cages over that in case I needed, in case something happened and I needed some Swiss chard and there wasn't any, I would know that there would be there because the rabbits can't get it. This is done really, really well as far as for Swiss chard. Now Gary's Swiss chard in the ground is far bigger than mine. You've seen it. The leaves are massive. Here they're not as big, but they're still going good. The rabbits can't get to it because this is, the old truck bed that was here when we bought the house. So nothing really gets in it. So it has worked out for me to grow different things in here. So all in all, it's doing good. And the plants are just, look at the color. Isn't that amazing? Look at the color. So I need to get, some more top dressing in here, like it could be leaf matter or wood chips. This I'm going to set up for something too. I'm starting to clean up and throw things in here. So I'm going to get a lot of different things in here to feed the plants a little bit better. I mean, I'm throwing the leaves back in, which helps. This is the radish. I had some radish seeds and they bolted. They just bolted. They always do because it gets so warm here and the truck bed gets warm. But look at this. See the radish here? And it dropped seeds and this one grew, but look at this. Look at that one. That's a monster. And why is that one so big? Because it's growing directly in the wood chips. And I have not really composted in place in here for a while. So I need to start getting some more things in here. I think I dumped something once. I see a couple eggshells, but being on the top like that, that's not composting down. So I need to get something on top of that and clean this up and get my container out of there, because anything on top is not breaking down. You need a cover on that. So I need to put something over that and start getting that matter to break down. This is garlic chives growing in here. And of course, these are walking onions that have struggled all winter with the cold, but they're still going good. Green Swiss chard, little red ones coming up everywhere. I've got 3 different types at least growing in here of Swiss chard. I've got the ones that are green, I've got the ones that are green with a red vein, and then of course I've got the ones that are just bright red like beets. So with that, like I said, I want to keep this as short as possible. Oh, and one more thing, the avocado trees here, and yes, let me see if you can see this. Let's see if I can. I think it's flowering. And here I was going to have Gary pull it out. If that truly is a flower, I definitely will wait and see what happens. If it drops the flowers, I may drop the tree. So we will wait and see if the flowers make it and turn into a fruit or what's going to happen. But I found flowers on it yesterday. Does that mean spring is here? I sure hope so. So I think with that, I'm going to end this because, like I said, we have not done anything, for the past month or two. It's just been too cold. Not just wet, but just cold. So there was no use trying to grow things when the weather has been just freezing at night. You try to grow something it's not going to make it. So the only thing I could do would be to just take care of what's already established and work with that. And that's what I did, just work with what's established. And I did, and we had greens, we had vegetables all winter. So you've come with me on my walk. I didn't want to drag it out so long because, like I said, I haven't done that much. And I figured I would just try to get through this, show you what's going on, and there's going to be changes. Because if I see flowers on avocado trees and I see tomato plants growing new growth, I have hope that spring is around the corner. And it can't get here quick enough. I'm a wimp. Born and raised in Los Angeles, and it's always been warm, and this was just too cold for too long. So with that, you know, let me stop and say, you're going to go, well, why didn't you just hide in the house? Gary's a penny pincher. We didn't turn the heater on. Notice how rugged up Gary is. Notice we're in the house, rugged up. Oh, a cold morning in the house. Got to keep our furniture so covered with sheets and stuff so the dogs don't make a total mess out of it. But you look warm now. Are you warm?
Yeah, a little warmer.
He said we don't need it. Put a sweater on. No. We actually very rarely used our heater, and it saves money that way. And we did put a sweater on, and he did have a fireplace going. But there were some really cold nights. Oh, but the dogs, they've got heat blankets, electric heating pads. They had it good. They lived like royalty. And if their heat blanket was turned off, they'd come up to me and stare at me or try to trip me as I was walking because they wanted their heat blanket at night turned on if I forgot. So with that, have a great day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody. Bring spring on for everybody. Bye-bye.